Today we're going to find out who does color e-ink better, reMarkable or Penstar. Now these two companies have two very different approaches to color on e-ink. reMarkable uses the Gallery 3 style screens where there's actually colored e-ink particles in the device's screen instead of just a filter layer like the Kaleido 3 kind of technology that Penstar uses. Now, both these companies also claim to have tweaked them to make them the best that they can possibly be. So we're going to put that to the test and see which one for you is going to be the better color e-ink device. The first test I want to look at is just how color accurate both of these are. But this is just a random color palette I found online. It's not going to be super scientific here, but just to give you a general idea of what colors show up better on which devices and more accurately. So to be our control device, we're going to bring in the M4 iPad Pro with its beautiful tandem OLED screen to actually see which of these devices is closest to this one, as the iPad Pro here has really good color accuracy. So it should truly show which one of these two devices is better at color accuracy. And one thing I'm noticing right off the bat that's a plus for the reMarkable is the more vibrant yellows. I think especially this yellow square in particular looks better than the Penstar eNote here. However, this is more of a blue than a purple, and I think that's closer to it. And overall, I like the separation of colors in some of the blue a little bit better here. And there's more on the grayscale, which makes sense because Kaleido 3 should have perfect 300 ppi black and white technology on here. So the grayscale should look nearly identical, and it does. I believe that looks really good, where you can see there's not as much distinction between the gray, and even the black is actually more of a deep blue, and that's definitely a downside to these Gallery 3 kind of screens. Now, I don't think it looks as bad as on the reMarkable Paper Pro, the bigger device. I thought it was more obvious that it was a dark blue there than even on the smaller one, and maybe it's because they're more condensed or it's got a higher PPI count now. Not sure, but I do like it better here. I think the reds are kind of on par for each other, and the blues, I think there's parts of the blue here that look better and more accurate. I think there's more distinction between the colors though on the Penstar, and the greens I think definitely look better on Penstar than on reMarkable here. But yeah, when it comes to like the orangey yellowish colors, I do think those look more vibrant and accurate on the reMarkable. So pluses and minuses to both of them here. Overall, I do think I like how the Penstar reproduces colors better. But now keep in mind, both of these devices have front lights and they're not on right now. So let's see if turning the front lights on actually make a difference. So we're gonna turn on the reMarkables here and the Penstar. And the reMarkable, you can barely tell it has the front light on. This, you can see the difference, even with a giant top-down light above me. But yeah, it is clearly a difference here, and a more useful front light if you're trying to use it during the day. There is also a setting buried in reMarkable a little bit here to allow extra brightness, and I do have that on. So it is as bright as this front light can get. Let me know in the comments down below if you think the front light has assisted either one of these devices. I think it helps the Penstar a little bit here, but ultimately the color accuracy is the color accuracy. It's not any better or worse. I feel like with the light illuminating it, it just makes it more visible. So yeah, I think it's still better on the Penstar, but not in the yellows especially. So it really depends on your color use case, I guess. Again, I'm picking the Penstar out of the two of them. There's a couple other factors that how they do color affects the e-ink device's operating system. Another one is how it refreshes the color into place. So color accuracy, debatable between the two of them, but this one is a lot less debatable. It's just which one does it better. Let's find out. So we're gonna open a blank note document, and I'll turn the front light down a little bit, but we'll leave it on both of them to some degree, giving them their best chance of showing off the color here. Keep it on 20, and I'll leave this one maxed out because you can't really see it anyway. Let's say you actually want to take notes in a colored pen. So let's just use a standard ballpoint pen here. and I'll pick green to take some notes in. This is me writing in color. That's color on Kaleido 3 and Penstar's color tablet. It just works. It just writes in that and it looks good. Now on the reMarkable, this is going to be a plus or a minus on how well this will work. So let's just pick green again. This is me writing in green. And as you can see, it doesn't look that green, then it flashes in, now it's kind of green. So not only while you're writing does it look very much not like the color, but even when you pause for a second, it has to flash the screen to push the right colors to the surface and give you an accurate color. And that means when you're switching between all sorts of kind of crazy colors and different doc pages, it is, wow, it's a lot of flashing. Seizure warning, maybe. That does not look that great. Where here, let me just go back a page and forward and back and forward. There's no flashing the color into place. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't need to happen. There is just the right color at all times. I like that better. They actually even kind of marketed the effect this gives as a plus almost on reMarkable. It's not a plus. It kind of looks cool when it's drawing in, but mostly the fact that it has to flash it into place after the fact too can be very distracting. Now, thankfully, they wait till you pick up your stylus and pause for a second to do it, so it's not constantly flashing while you're writing. But if you pause during the middle of sentences or in your middle of thoughts and your display is always flashing at you, it can really disrupt your thought process and your workflow. I mean, it has for me at least. So I don't write in color on the reMarkable device. I use it to highlight in color because the highlighter has always flashed into. If I go to the marker here, and if I do a grayscale highlighter, it still kind of does that flashing into place with the highlighter function. So I'm used to that on e-ink. So having a colored highlighter works, and that flashing into place does not feel weird to me. But having that for every time I'm writing a sentence is very distracting. So I just, like I said, simply don't write in color on this device. I just write in black, and then I highlight in color if I want something to stand out. That's how I use the reMarkable's color functionality. If you've seen some of my other videos on this device, you'll know that if they just released a black and white version of this, I would be all for it. Especially if it saved you some money versus the $450 this costs. That's a big plus. So that's really the fundamental differences in color between these two devices. So again, which would I pick? Penstar all the way. And I really think they did a pretty good job of not letting the screen get too grayed out with this Kaleido 3 film over top of it. Sometimes they look really bad when you turn off the front light. I don't think this is that bad. It's definitely not as high contrast as the Penstar eNote 2, which is the whitest e-ink screen I've ever seen. So it's not as good. I think the reMarkable is maybe a slightly lighter shade of gray, but it's not dramatically different. And I still think overall the colors and the blacks pop on this device more than the reMarkable, because the black, let me just get a big black marker here. And as you can see, hopefully from this test, how much higher contrast the black is, as it's a true black here, where here it is that dark blue, almost black. But yeah, I would take this screen over the reMarkables, and I think it has a lot less compromises. I like the idea of Gallery 3 so much. In fact, I like it better than Kaleido 3. I like the idea of the e-ink particles themselves actually having the color. But as of right now, there's just lots of little compromises, and I just don't think they're worth it over a really well done Kaleido 3 screen. I did not like how Books did the Kaleido 3 on the Tab Mini C. That's the one I owned at one point. And I found the screen to be way too grayed out and just not fun to use at all. So I returned that device. But the way Penstar is doing it here, I think there's not that many compromises, and it's an overall better color accurate screen, and definitely nicer to write in color on this device. So let me know what you guys think about the results of those two tests. Do you disagree with me on the color accuracy thing? Do you like how the reMarkable showed them better? Or let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us grow and be able to reach more people. We're constantly improving the setup, as you guys should be able to see. And let us know in the comments as well what you think of the new setup, any suggestions you might have. If you want to see a behind the scenes video of how we have it set up now, let me know all that down in the comments below. And as always, guys, have a great rest of your day.